Hey everyone, my name is Jet and you are watching Board Game Talk on inthirdperson.com. Today on the show we are talking about one of the most popular board games on the market right now, as well as one of my personal favorites. It is T.I.M.E Stories. In this cooperative adventure game, you're playing as essentially the time police, going through different parts of history, trying to make sure that the space-time continuum stays intact as there are people and forces trying to disrupt it. So before we get into my thoughts on why the game's awesome and some quirks you need to know before you get into it, let's do a quick breakdown of how the game works. In T.I.M.E Stories, everyone is going to be playing as one character throughout the campaign. Well, that's not necessarily true. You can change, but we're not going to go into the details on that. So here's a couple of the characters that are available. Let me just go fan some of these out so you can take a look at who's here. Here's one more. And this guy here, just a quick shot of his stats. Every character in the game is a little bit unique from one another. So some people have more health, some people are really good at fighting, some people are really good at negotiating with other people or picking locks. And each person's going to try and take one character each to manage throughout the campaign. Now let's look at the board here. At the top, we have the map with a little token to show what room we're in. So as we're moving through different rooms, we'll notify it by moving the token over to that spot. There's a spot here for items. And the most important part is this lineup right here for the panoramas. So this card on the left has all of the story leading up to this room, and it describes all of the different things happening in each panel. So, for example, I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm just going to make some stuff up. Here is a nurse looking at you with a curious look. Here's a crazy guy. Here's a crazy girl painting some stuff. Here's another crazy guy not wearing pants. And here's a painting on the shelf here. And as players... let me grab our tokens here. We'll all have a discussion about where people should go. So I might say, as the pink player, I'm going to talk to this nurse person here. And then the yellow person says, hey, I'm going to go talk to the crazy person with the painting. And these two people might say, let's go talk to this crazy guy with the things in his ears. So once that takes place, everyone takes the cards, you flip them around, and you do what it says on the cards. Sometimes you're going to get story bits, sometimes there's going to be fights, sometimes your skills are going to be tested, such as having to pick a lock or partake in a fight, and you will resolve all of those things each turn. Now, as you're doing each turn, the time is going to come down until it eventually hits 0, at which point you're going to have to reset the scenario. But at that point, you've gone through a number of rooms and you have a better idea of where to go, and so you can streamline your path through the game until you get to the end. T.I.M.E Stories, and in particular the asylum scenario that comes in the box, does an incredible job of immersing you in its world. As you're going through each of the different areas and you go through each separate room, it's awesome to talk to your friends and say, hey, maybe I should talk to this person over here, or maybe I should explore this weird door over there. Sometimes it leads to really good things. Sometimes it leads to horrible things that will completely mess up your progress. But as you're playing through this adventure-style game that's sort of like Myst on the computer, or a more modern example of an adventure video game like The Walking Dead by Telltale Games, it feels like the possibilities are endless. Like you're really in that world trying to solve these mysteries, and you're in these combat scenarios, and it's just really fascinating to really immerse yourself in that world and try and work through the challenge that's at hand. In particular, with the asylum case that comes with the main game. Without going too much into spoiler territory, it has the best puzzle that you are going to be solving to date. And when we figured it out, our minds were blown at what it took for us to get there and the solution that ultimately it was. That being said, if you get stuck on that particular puzzle, you're kind of screwed. The game doesn't give you any sort of recourse at that point. You kind of have to have figured it out or you're stuck. So if you haven't figured it out by that point, you might be banging your head against the wall until you finally realize how to do it. Another quirk that kind of bothers me about the Asylum scenario that comes with the main game is that some of the most pivotal moments in the game are resolved through dice rolls. And for the most part, I think the skill checks are fine when you're fighting a random bad guy here and there or trying to unlock something. But some of the most pivotal moments in the game come down to dice rolls. And in particular, there's a sequence towards the end where our campaign completely fell apart because of just a handful of dice rolls. And that can be really frustrating for players who want a little more control of the experience, especially when you've put in so much of your own effort and control getting up to that point. The big elephant in the room when it comes to Time Stories is how much it costs versus how much you get in the box. With Time Stories, you only get one scenario, which lasts about 4 to 6 hours. And once you complete that, that's it. I mean, you can still play it again, but because you know the answers to everything, you can just blaze through it no problem. On one hand, that it is kind of a shame that there's so little in the box, but you kind of have to look at it a different way from regular board games in that this is the starter set for something much bigger. There are already 4 expansions that give you all new stories to play through, and there are more coming. So if you look at it as the starter set to something much bigger, it's a lot easier to justify the price. All in all, I think that Time Stories is an awesome game with a ton of potential to go so much further than it currently has. And personally, I would definitely give this a shot and try out a couple of the expansions as well. Make sure to tune in later when I do another video talking about all of the expansions to date and my thoughts on those. So, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this particular episode of Board Game Talk. Make sure to go and play Time Stories because this is a very cool game. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And of course, check out the website, inthirdperson.com, for more articles and videos on video games, board games, comic books, and other nerdy pursuits. So until next time, I'm Jet from inthirdperson.com, and thank you for watching.